We are coming to look at adult circulation. And for us to understand adult circulation, we need to understand the structures that forms the adult heart or the parts of the adult heart. When we say something is in a circle, it means that wherever it begins, that is where it ends. So let's say we have four dots. Okay, so dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, dot 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You see, when you start here, it goes like this, then it ends here. So if something begins at a particular place and ends at that same place, then it means that that thing is in what? It's in a circle. So basically, that is the meaning. Okay. So now let's look at the parts of the adult heart. Then from there, we will look at how circulation occurs in the adult heart. So when we look at the structure very well, we realize that this side forms the right side of the heart, whilst this side forms the left side of the heart. The right side of the heart contains deoxygenated blood. It means blood that does not contain what? Oxygen. So deoxygenated. To the right side, the word de means what? Removed. When we say devalue, then it means that the value of something is not there again. It has been removed from it. That's why we say, oh, this thing is devalued. So in the same way, when we say deoxygenated, it means that that particular blood does not contain what? Oxygen in it. So basically, the right side of the heart contains blood that does not have what? Oxygen in it. Once the left side is what? Oxygenated, it means it contains blood that is pure, clean, or contains oxygen. Now, the right side should be separated from where? The left side. Okay, so that the deoxygenated blood or the bad side of the blood or the blood which is not pure does not mix up with the one which is pure or oxygenated at the left side. So because of that, there is a partition here which is known as what? Septum. But because of the position of the partition, so because of the partition here, we call this septum, then basically we call it what? Atrioventricular septum. So basically this partition is what is referred to as was the atrioventricular septum, because it's part of this, the top side and the downside. Okay, later on I will show you what atrium and ventricles are. So we can either call it a septum or an atrioventricular septum. So looking at the upper part of the heart and the lower part of the heart, we realize that there are 4 chambers. So 2 chambers for the upper and 2 chambers for the lower. So the upper chambers are known as what? The atrium. So for this side, we have the right atrium, and this side is known as what? The left atrium. Then the lower chambers are known as ventricles. So we have the right ventricle and the left ventricle. So basically, the right atrium is separated from the right ventricle by what? A valve. So you could see that the chambers are separated from each other by valves, but the left side and the right side are separated from each other by what? A septum. Okay. So the right atrium is separated by the right ventricle by a valve known as what? Tricuspid valve. When we say a valve, they are leaf-like structures or structures that prevent the backflow of blood. So in an objective question, when you are asked what is the importance of valves, they just prevent the backflow of blood. Okay, so the right atrium is separated from the right ventricle by what? The tricuspid valve. If you want to remember it easily, right for tri. Okay, so tri, right, tri. So right atrium is separated from right ventricle by what? The tricuspid valve. And now the left atrium is separated from the left ventricle by what? The bi. So that one is bi, means 2, bicuspid valve. It is also known as what? The mitral valve. So in an objective question, if you don't see bicuspid valve, then you should be what? Mitral valve. So you can be asked that the right atrium is separated from the right ventricle by which valve? Then your answer becomes what? The tricuspid valve. In the same way, you can be asked the left atrium can be separated by the left ventricle by which valve? Then we call it what? The bicuspid or the mitral valve. Now let's look at the right side. So looking at the right side, we realize that we have right atrium. And the right atrium, there are 2 large blood vessels entering into the right atrium. So we call this one the superior vena cava. Superior. So it means up. Okay, superior vena cava. And this superior vena cava is a very large vein that drains deoxygenated blood from the upper portion, that is the head and neck, to the right atrium. Whilst this one is what? Inferior vena cava. So inferior means what? Down. So the inferior vena cava carries deoxygenated blood from the lower portion of the body into the right atrium. So from here, you could realize that the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, they all empty into where? Into the right atrium. Okay. Then now let's look at this blood vessel. So from the right ventricle, you can see that this blood vessel is here, and this blood vessel branches into what? Into two. This blood vessel is known as what? The pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. All arteries carries oxygenated blood, whilst all veins carries deoxygenated blood. However, pulmonary artery carries what? Deoxygenated blood, because it is located within the right side of the heart. And the word pulmonary, when you hear pulmonary anywhere, it means lungs. So anything going into the lungs, we call it what? Pulmonary. Okay, like pulmonary tuberculosis. Tuberculosis that has affected what? The lungs. So basically, anything pulmonary, you are dealing with what? The lungs. So the pulmonary artery is an artery that moves to go into the lungs. So we have the right lung here and the left lung here. And basically, they just send the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for it to be purified or oxygenated. Later on, we'll come and look at that. Okay. Then when you get here, so now let's come to the left side. So we have left atrium, left ventricle separated by what? The bicuspid valve. Okay, and the mitral valve. So here, like how we have the pulmonary artery here, when you get here too, we have pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins. So we are saying that the word pulmonary means that something that is associated to the lungs. So from here we realize that the pulmonary artery sends deoxygenated blood to the lungs for it to be purified. Then the pulmonary veins will also carry oxygenated blood from the lungs into this side of the heart. Okay, so we have left atrium, left ventricle. We've talked about the valve already. Then this one is what? The aorta. The aorta is the biggest artery, okay, or the largest artery that branches into smaller arteries to send oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. So when you look at this side, see this one is going up. So we call it what? The ascending aorta. Then here we have arc of aorta, then descending aorta. So basically, that is what the structures that you are supposed to know in order to help you to understand the adult circulation. Okay, so on our next topic, we are going to look at what? How the adult circulation occurs.